With keen devotion, respect and meticulous care, I have ruled for a generation of 60 years. Too far from sufficient is the word diligence to summarize the work of my whole existence. Kangxi was a noble prince, but because his mother fell from favor and he had been infected with smallpox at 3, the Manchus were terrified of this disease. He was driven out of the palace to an old temple by his father. Fortunately, he survived the disease and was subsequently regarded as lucky. With both parents' death, he ascended to the throne at the early age of 8. With the help of his grandmother, he was able to bring his powerful ministers under control and take over the affairs of state. Kangxi was a precocious emperor. He persisted in holding morning audiences before dawn for 60 years. He studied Confucian classics and histories and learned to write poetry and calligraphy. Practicing since young, Kangxi was capable of drawing a high-tension bow and shooting 13 arrows in a row. He regarded military accomplishments and the art of archery as the keys to survival and effective rule, and did his utmost when commanding soldiers on the battlefield. In my early days on the throne, I hung a scroll in the palace inscribed with these words: guarding the 3 frontiers, harnessing the rivers, and improving water transport are important subjects of the state. The young emperor grasped the most important matters concerning his country's destiny. Some 10 years later, he made an inspection tour of South China and solved the problems of river disasters and northward grain shipment from the south. He was clearly aware that agriculture formed the lifeblood of China. Water conservancy and effective transport were intimately tied to the country's prosperity. He also paid homage at the Ming Emperor's tomb in Nanjing and respects to Yu the Great, who contributed greatly to waterworks in Shaoxing. His actions won the people's favor and strengthened the great Qing's rule. Kangxi also conscientiously carried on the Zhongyuan rites of offering sacrifices to the heavens, the earth, and the ancestors. He was intent on learning Latin, astrology, and mathematics. To this day, the imperial palace still preserves the mathematics desk and telescope he had used for many years. He permitted foreign missionaries to build churches and sermonize, and even wrote to endorse this. But when the Pope interfered with Chinese traditional ancestor worship, he immediately expressed his opposition to them. Emperor Kangxi was the ideal emperor in the eyes of Voltaire, a philosopher during the Western Age of Enlightenment. Our imperial self have worked untiringly for 60 years and laid the foundation for the later generations of this empire. 10,000 years from now, there will not be any to brief our ministers on their jobs.